Pretend you're my husband. The young woman in an expensive designer suit whispered, suddenly grabbing the hand of the man standing next to her at the charity gala. He, wearing a worn security uniform, froze. His eyes darkened as he looked at her, then glanced toward the 7-year-old girl sitting alone in the corner of the room. "I'm not anyone's prop," he said quietly, something in his voice making her falter. "Especially not in front of my daughter." His words carried a weight that made the powerful heiress step back, seeing him for the first time. In that moment, something shifted between them, something neither could have anticipated. Olivia Reed was the kind of woman who turned heads when she entered a room. It wasn't just her tailored designer clothes, or the confident click of her heels on marble floors. It was the invisible shield she carried, a perfect armor of icy composure that kept everyone at a distance. As vice president of Reed Enterprises, the only daughter of Maxwell Reed, the powerful CEO known as the Steel King of America, she had learned early that vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford. The business world saw emotion as weakness, and Olivia had trained herself to never show a crack in her perfect facade. Even now, standing in her 30th floor office overlooking Manhattan, she betrayed nothing as she gazed at the invitation to the company's annual charity gala. The event where she would inevitably face her ex-husband and his new lover. The wound was still fresh, but she wouldn't let it affect her image or her work. Her father had warned her repeatedly. "You need to be strong. The business world has no place for the weak." When her assistant entered with the final guest list, Olivia merely nodded. "Has security confirmed everything?" she asked, her voice measured and cool. Upon receiving an affirmative answer, she turned back to the window. "I don't want any incidents tonight. Especially no photos of James and me in the same frame for the tabloids." Her assistant hesitated before adding, "Your father called. He insists you bring a date tonight. He says it would improve optics after the divorce." Olivia's jaw tightened imperceptibly. Another demand, another performance. "Tell him I'll handle it," she said coldly, though she had no intention of bringing anyone. Her father's constant pressure to maintain appearances had pushed her into her first disastrous marriage. She wouldn't make that mistake again. Later, she examined her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Perfect makeup concealing sleepless nights. Designer outfit hiding a heart that had learned not to trust. She whispered to herself, "Just get through tonight. Smile. Network. Don't let them see you break." In a small apartment in Queens, Ethan Parker bent down to tie his daughter's shoelaces. At 35, his face showed the quiet resilience of someone who had weathered storms and remained standing. A former Army veteran who had served 2 tours in Afghanistan, he now worked as a security guard at Reed Tower. His hands capable of disarming threats and maintaining order moved with surprising gentleness as he adjusted the pink backpack on his 7-year-old daughter's shoulders. Lily looked up at him with bright eyes that mirrored her mother's, the wife he had lost to cancer 4 years ago. Since then, he had raised Lily alone, working diligently and living simply, his world narrowed to one purpose: giving his daughter the best life he possibly could. "Daddy, I get to come with you today, right?" Lily asked, bouncing slightly on her toes. It was the weekend, but Ethan had to work the evening shift at the charity gala. "Yes, sweetheart." Ethan smiled, stroking his daughter's dark hair. "I've got a special shift today. I asked my supervisor, and you can stay in the break room. Remember to bring your books and toys." Lily nodded, holding her father's hand tightly. "Daddy, when we have more money, you won't have to work so many jobs anymore, right? And I can have a pretty dress like a princess?" Ethan's eyes showed a flash of sadness, but he smiled gently. "I'm working on it, honey. Maybe not a princess dress, but I promise to get you the prettiest dress I can afford for your birthday next month." On their way to Reed Tower, they passed a children's boutique. Lily stopped, her eyes lighting up at a pale blue dress in the window. Ethan glanced at the price tag, nearly half his monthly salary. He sighed, squeezing his daughter's hand before leading her away. Dreams were expensive, and reality didn't often make space for them. At their modest apartment, the walls were decorated with Lily's drawings and a few photographs. One showed Ethan in military uniform with his late wife, Sarah. Another showed Lily as a toddler being held by her mother in a hospital bed, both smiling despite the circumstances. These images were the anchors of their small family, reminders of love that persisted even after loss. Ethan opened a small lockbox and took out his most valuable possession, his late wife's wedding ring. He was saving it for Lily when she grew up, but lately, he'd considered selling it to pay for Lily's school tuition at a better elementary school. The public school she attended was overcrowded. And his daughter, bright and curious, deserved better. "Not yet," he whispered, putting the ring back. "We'll find another way." His phone rang, his supervisor confirming tonight's assignment. "Parker, you're on VIP entrance duty tonight. The bosses will be there, so best behavior. And about your daughter. She can stay in the staff break room, but keep it quiet. I'm bending the rules here. Understood, sir. Thank you, Ethan replied. He was known for his reliability and discretion. In 3 years at Reed Enterprises, he'd never been late, never complained, and handled several security incidents with calm professionalism qualities that hadn't gone unnoticed by the head of security. What no one at Reed Enterprises knew was that Ethan held a business degree from a state university. He had once dreamed of starting his own small business, but life took a different turn when Sarah got sick. Medical bills drained their savings, and after her death, he took whatever stable job he could find to provide for Lily. His dreams had been set aside, but never forgotten. As they rode the subway to Manhattan, Lily read a book while Ethan watched her with quiet pride. His daughter was his whole world, the reason he got up every morning, worked extra shifts, and kept going despite the struggle. Tonight, like every night, he would wear his uniform with dignity, stand straight, and do his job well. Not because he loved being a security guard, but because he loved his daughter more than anything. The Reed Enterprises annual charity gala transformed the grand ballroom of the Plaza Hotel into a glittering showcase of wealth and influence. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the city's elite as they networked, gossiped, and occasionally remembered the evening's charitable purpose, raising funds for children's education in underprivileged communities. Ethan stood at his assigned post near the VIP entrance, maintaining a vigilant but invisible presence. His supervisor had been clear. Be alert, be professional, be invisible. The mantra of security personnel at high-profile events. From his position, he could see Lily through the doorway to the staff break room, quietly drawing in her notebook. She caught his eye and waved subtly their secret communication. He gave her a small nod and a hint of a smile. Olivia arrived fashionably late, a strategic choice to minimize interaction time. Her entrance caused the expected stir camera flashes, whispers, and appraising glances. She wore a stunning midnight blue gown that contrasted with her pale complexion and made her look like she was carved from ice. Beautiful, untouchable, perfect. Her practiced smile never reached her eyes as she greeted board members, major donors, and business partners. She spotted her father across the room, deep in conversation with the mayor. He noticed her and gave an approving nod at her appearance, but his eyes quickly scanned the space around her, clearly looking for the date she was supposed to bring. Then it happened. Her ex-husband James entered with his new girlfriend, the woman he'd been secretly seeing during their marriage. The couple looked radiant, laughing as they joined a group of Olivia's father's closest associates. The betrayal was complete. Not only had James cheated, but he'd maintained relationships with her family's business connections. Olivia felt her carefully constructed composure threatening to crack. She needed an escape, just for a moment, to rebuild her walls. She slipped away from the main ballroom toward a quieter corridor. As she rounded a corner seeking solitude, she nearly collided with a small figure, a little girl, carrying a juice box and looking lost. "I'm sorry," the child said, eyes wide. "I was looking for the bathroom." Olivia, momentarily startled out of her emotional turmoil, looked down at the girl. "The bathroom? I'm not sure there's a public one in this corridor. Are you here with someone?" "My daddy," Lily explained. "He's working. I'm supposed to stay in the break room, but I needed the bathroom." Something about the child's earnest expression touched Olivia. "I'll help you find it," she offered, surprising herself. "What's your name?" "Lily Parker." "What's yours?" "Olivia Reed," she answered, then saw the girl's eyes widen slightly. "Reed? Like the big building where my daddy works?" Olivia nodded, bemused. "Yes, exactly like that." She guided Lily to a nearby bathroom, waiting outside. When the child emerged, Olivia asked, "Shall I help you get back to your father?" "Yes, please. He's wearing a black uniform by the fancy door." As they walked, Lily chattered innocently. "Your dress is so pretty. You look like Elsa from Frozen, but with dark hair." Olivia found herself smiling genuinely for the first time that evening. "Thank you. I like your hairband. The stars on it are lovely. My daddy got it for me for getting all A's on my report card," Lily said proudly. "He says I'm smart like my mommy was." "Was?" Olivia asked before she could stop herself. "She's in heaven now," Lily explained with the simple acceptance children sometimes have for enormous loss. "But Daddy says she watches over us." Olivia felt an unexpected pang in her chest. Before she could respond, they rounded the corner, and she saw her ex-husband James heading directly toward them, clearly having spotted her. In a moment of panic, Olivia made a split-second decision. She quickly scanned the corridor and saw a security guard standing nearby Lily's father, she presumed. Without thinking it through, she walked directly to him. "Pretend you're my husband," she whispered urgently, taking his arm just as James approached. Her heart pounded as she felt the security guard stiffen beside her. Ethan's eyes darkened as he looked at her, then at Lily who had just reached them. "I'm not anyone's prop," he said quietly, his voice carrying a dignity that caught Olivia off guard. "Especially not in front of my daughter." The words hit Olivia like a physical blow. In her moment of panic, she hadn't considered how her actions might affect the child. For the first time, she truly looked at the man before her not as a uniform, but as a person. A father protecting his daughter's understanding of the world. James paused, taking in the tableau with confusion. Olivia, flustered and embarrassed, attempted to recover. "I apologize for the confusion. I was just helping Lily find her way back." "Thank you for your assistance," she said formally to Ethan, then turned to face her ex-husband with forced composure. "James," she acknowledged coldly. "Olivia," he replied with a smug smile. "Alone tonight? Your father mentioned you might bring someone." Before she could respond, Maxwell Reed appeared behind James. "Olivia, there you are. The mayor's waiting to discuss the foundation's new initiative." His eyes fell on Ethan and Lily with disapproval. "Why are there staff children at this event?" Ethan stepped forward professionally. "Sir, I'm on duty tonight. My daughter is staying in the designated break area. I apologize for any disturbance." "See that she remains there," Maxwell said dismissively. "Olivia, come along now." As her father led her away, Olivia glanced back at Ethan and Lily. The security guard was kneeling to eye level with his daughter, speaking to her with gentle reassurance. Something about their connection made Olivia's chest tighten with an emotion she couldn't immediately identify. Later, as she mechanically engaged in conversations with donors, her mind kept returning to that moment, to the quiet dignity in the security guard's voice when he refused to be used as a shield, and to the loving way he looked at his daughter. It contrasted sharply with her own father's calculating presence beside her, whispering reminders about which connections to cultivate and which appearances to maintain. When her father excused himself to speak with the senator, Olivia's assistant approached with a message. "Miss Reed, security reported a small incident. The child in the break room isn't feeling well. Her father is concerned but can't leave his post." Olivia made another impulsive decision. "Tell him I'll check on her. And find out what his name is." "Ethan Parker, ma'am. He's been with company security for 3 years." Olivia nodded, setting down her champagne glass. "Cover for me with my father. I'll be back shortly." Olivia found Lily curled up on a break room sofa, pale and quiet. The little girl's eyes widened in surprise when she entered. "Your father is worried about you," Olivia explained, sitting beside her. "Are you feeling sick?" Lily nodded hesitantly. "My tummy hurts. But I didn't want to tell Daddy because he needs this job." The simple statement, loaded with awareness no 7-year-old should have to carry, hit Olivia unexpectedly hard. "Does this happen often? The stomach aches?" "Sometimes. The doctor said it's from stress," Lily admitted, sounding much older than her years. "Daddy works really hard, and sometimes I worry about him." Olivia reached out tentatively to feel the child's forehead. "You're a little warm. Have you eaten tonight?" Lily nodded. "A sandwich Daddy packed. And a juice box the nice lady in the kitchen gave me." Something protective stirred in Olivia. "I'm going to get you some water and something for your tummy. Will you be okay for a minute?" When she returned with water, crackers, and a damp cloth for Lily's forehead, she found the girl looking at a worn photograph she'd pulled from her backpack, a smiling woman holding a toddler version of Lily. "Is that your mom?" Olivia asked gently. "Yes. Her name was Sarah. Daddy says I have her smile." Lily traced the photo with her small finger. "She was a teacher before she got sick." Olivia sat beside her, helping her sip the water. "Tell me about your dad. He seems like a good father." Lily brightened despite her discomfort. "He's the best daddy ever. He reads to me every night, even when he's super tired. And he never yells, even when I spill things. He says mistakes are how we learn." She continued, innocently revealing pieces of their life. How Ethan worked 2 jobs, sometimes. How he helped her with homework, taught her to be brave, and made pancakes shaped like animals on Sundays. How he kept a picture of her mother by his bed, and still wore his wedding ring. The stories painted a portrait of a man devoted to his child, prioritizing her happiness above his own, maintaining her connection to the mother she had lost. Olivia found herself absorbed in these glimpses of a life so different from her own, a life where love, not ambition, was the central force. Meanwhile, Ethan stood at his post, fighting the urge to check on Lily. His supervisor passed by, whispering, Miss Reed is with your daughter. Stay at your position. Ethan's surprise must have shown on his face because the supervisor added, I know, not what you'd expect. But apparently she volunteered. Across the room, Ethan noticed James, the ex-husband everyone in security knew about, watching him with curious suspicion. The look made him uneasy, but he maintained his professional demeanor. In his years working security, he had learned to read people's intentions in their body language. James Sullivan had the look of someone who saw others as either tools or obstacles. Ethan had encountered that look before, both in war zones and in corporate America. Men like that were dangerous in their own way. Later, when Olivia returned to the gala, she found herself unable to slip back into her usual role. The conversations felt hollow, the concerns trivial. She kept thinking about Lily's stories, and about the security guard who raised his daughter with such evident love despite difficult circumstances. The wealth surrounding her suddenly seemed less like achievement and more like accident of birth. All these people congratulating themselves for donating what amounted to pocket change, while families like Ethan struggled for basics despite working hard and doing everything right. These thoughts were new to Olivia, uncomfortable and persistent. As the evening progressed, she noticed James approaching Ethan, saying something that made the security guard's expression tighten. She moved closer, catching fragments of their conversation. Saw you with my ex-wife earlier. James was saying with practiced charm that didn't reach his eyes. Quite the coincidence. Sir, I was simply doing my job, Ethan responded evenly. Miss Reed was helping my daughter find her way back to the break room. James laughed dismissively. Right. Well, word of advice, don't get involved with the Reed family. They'll use you and discard you when you're no longer useful. Trust me, I know. I'm just here to do my job, sir, Ethan repeated. Though Olivia could see a muscle in his jaw tightening. Of course you are, James smirked. Just remember, people like us were invisible to people like them. Except when they need something. Olivia stepped forward, her voice cool. James, I believe your date is looking for you. James turned, surprised, then smiled that empty smile she once thought charming. Olivia. Making friends with the staff now? Mr. Parker is a valued employee whose daughter needed assistance, she replied evenly. Perhaps you could focus your attention on your companion, rather than harassing our security personnel. After James walked away, there was an awkward moment between Olivia and Ethan. Thank you, Miss Reed, but that wasn't necessary, he said quietly. I can handle difficult guests. I know you can, she acknowledged. But he shouldn't speak to any of our employees that way. She paused. Lily is feeling better. The stomachache has subsided. Relief crossed his face. Thank you for checking on her. She's a remarkable child. You should be proud. I am, he said simply, and the unguarded love in his expression made Olivia feel strangely hollow. A commotion across the room drew their attention. Olivia's father was calling for everyone's attention, about to announce the total funds raised. She should be at his side for this moment. I should go, she said, but lingered. Mr. Parker. I want to apologize for earlier. Asking you to pretend. It was inappropriate and thoughtless. Ethan studied her for a moment. You were in a difficult situation. We all have moments of panic. His unexpected understanding touched her. Still, I shouldn't have involved you or potentially confused your daughter. Lily understands more than most adults give her credit for, he said with quiet pride. But thank you for the apology. As Olivia walked away, she felt like something had shifted in her world. The sensation followed her to the stage, where she stood beside her father as he boasted about Reed Enterprises' charitable contributions. A tiny fraction of their annual profits, she suddenly realized. His words about giving back to the community rang hollow when she thought of Lily's worn shoes and Ethan's second job. This wasn't charity, it was a performance of caring, a tax write-off, dressed as compassion. She had participated in this charade for years, without questioning it. Why was she questioning it now? Later that night, as the gala wound down, Olivia noticed Ethan gathering a sleepy Lily from the break room. The child rested her head on her father's shoulder, trustingly, completely secure in his care. The sight awakened something long dormant in Olivia, a yearning for genuine connection, for trust uncomplicated by agendas or appearances. On impulse, she approached them one last time. Mr. Parker, would you and Lily accept a ride home? It's late for public transportation with a tired child. Ethan hesitated, pride battling practicality. That's not necessary, Miss Reed. I know it isn't, Olivia said softly. But it's snowing, and it would make me feel better knowing you both got home safely after Lily was unwell. Ethan studied her face, as if searching for hidden motives. Finding none, he finally nodded. Thank you. That's very kind. The ride to Queens in Olivia's private car was quiet, with Lily falling asleep almost immediately. Sitting across from Ethan, Olivia found herself noticing details. She might normally have missed the careful way he adjusted his daughter's coat, the calluses on his hands, the tired lines around his eyes that didn't diminish their alertness. "She told me you have a business degree," Olivia said quietly. Ethan looked surprised, then nodded. "From SUNY. Long time ago now. Why security work then?" He was silent for a moment. "Life doesn't always go as planned. When my wife got sick, we needed steady work with good health insurance. After she passed, I needed reliable hours so Lily would always have one of us there. Security fit the bill. You gave up your dreams for them," Olivia observed. "I adjusted my dreams," Ethan corrected gently. "Right now, my dream is seeing Lily grow up happy, and getting her a good education. The rest can wait." Something about his perspective made Olivia uncomfortable with her own priorities. Had she ever wanted anything with such clear purpose? "What about you?" he asked unexpectedly. "Is this the life you dreamed of?" The question caught her off guard. No one asked Olivia Reed such personal questions. I don't know that I ever thought about it that way. I was raised to take my place in the company. It wasn't really a choice." "There's always a choice," Ethan said quietly. "Even when the options aren't great." The following Monday, Ethan arrived at work to find a summons to Human Resources. His stomach dropped. He was certain it was about bringing Lily to the gala. As a single father with limited childcare options, losing this job would be devastating. In the HR office, he was surprised to find not only the HR director, but also James Sullivan, Olivia's ex-husband, looking smug. "Mr. Parker," the HR director began uncomfortably, "an issue has been brought to our attention. Mr. Sullivan has alleged that you've been attempting to leverage a personal relationship with Miss Reed for professional gain." Ethan's blood ran cold. "That's absolutely false," James interjected smoothly. "I saw you with her at the gala. And I've learned you received a private ride home in her car. Rather inappropriate for security staff, wouldn't you say? Especially given your position." The implication was clear. A lowly security guard must have ulterior motives for any interaction with someone of Olivia's status. "My daughter was unwell," Ethan explained evenly, fighting to keep his voice steady. "Miss Reed kindly offered us a ride home. There was nothing inappropriate about it. Your daughter shouldn't have been at a corporate event in the first place," James pointed out. "Another violation of policy, I'm sure." The HR director looked increasingly uncomfortable. "Mr. Parker, your record here has been exemplary, but this is a delicate situation. Mr. Sullivan is a significant business partner to Reed Enterprises, and his concerns are completely unfounded and potentially defamatory," a new voice interrupted. Olivia stood in the doorway, her expression glacial. "I thought I heard something interesting while passing by." "James, this is low even for you." James recovered quickly. "Olivia, I'm simply looking out for the company's interests. This kind of fraternization is none of your business," she cut him off. "Even if you were still my husband, which thank God you are not, you would have no right to interfere in how I choose to interact with Reed Enterprises employees." She turned to the HR director. "Mr. Parker brought his daughter to the event because he had no alternative childcare. I approved it retrospectively as VP of Operations. Is that sufficient?" The HR director nodded quickly, eager to escape the tension between the former spouses. James didn't back down. "Your father would be very interested to hear about your sudden interest in staff welfare." Something flashed in Olivia's eyes, fear, perhaps, but she maintained her composure. "My father is welcome to discuss any concerns with me directly. Now, if you'll excuse us, Mr. Parker and I have actual work to discuss." After James and the HR director left, Olivia turned to Ethan, her professional mask slipping to reveal genuine concern. "I'm sorry about that. James is vindictive when he feels challenged. Why would he care about me?" Ethan asked plainly. Olivia hesitated. "He saw us talking. For James, everything is about power and appearances. The idea that I might speak to you as a person rather than as staff. It threatens his worldview." Ethan nodded slowly, processing this. "Thank you for intervening, but I don't want to cause problems for you. Especially with your father." "My father." Olivia sighed. "Let's just say we have different views on how to treat people." She straightened, resuming her professional demeanor. "How is Lily feeling today?" "Much better, thank you. She talked about you all weekend. Apparently you're as pretty as a princess but nicer because you really listen." Olivia's face softened at this. "She's a special child." She hesitated, then added, "Mr. Parker, I've been reviewing our corporate responsibility initiatives. We're launching a new education program for children from underprivileged backgrounds. Given your daughter's academic achievements, she might be an excellent candidate for our pilot scholarship. Ethan stiffened. Miss Reed, while I appreciate the thought, I don't want charity. It's not charity, she insisted. It's an opportunity Lily deserves. Her grades are exceptional, yes. I asked to see her school records, she admitted at his surprised look. The scholarship would be awarded on merit, not sympathy. He studied her, trying to understand her motives. Why would you do this? Olivia considered her answer carefully. Because I believe in investing in potential. And because. She hesitated, then continued more quietly, because talking with Lily reminded me of what's actually important. Something I'd forgotten in this world of appearances and power plays. Later that week, Maxwell Reed summoned his daughter to his office. His imposing desk emphasized the power dynamic between them. He was not just her father but her boss, the architect of the world she inhabited. What's this about you creating a new scholarship program without board approval? And giving the first award to a security guard's child? Olivia stood her ground. The program falls within my discretionary budget as VP of Operations. And yes, the first recipient is Lily Parker, who has maintained straight A's despite challenging circumstances. This wouldn't have anything to do with your little scene with her father at the gala? James mentioned it. Of course James did, Olivia said bitterly. He's always been excellent at storytelling. Especially fiction. Watch your tone, Maxwell warned. You're still recovering from a very public divorce. The last thing you need is rumors about you and a security guard. Is that all you care about, how things look? The words escaped before Olivia could stop them. Maxwell's expression hardened. Appearances matter in our world, Olivia. I didn't build this company by being sentimental. No, you built it by being ruthless, she countered. But I'm starting to wonder if that's something to be proud of. Her father's face registered shock at her defiance, then hardened. I made you who you are, don't forget that. Maybe that's the problem. Olivia replied quietly before walking out. Meanwhile, Ethan faced his own dilemma. The scholarship would give Lily opportunities he could never provide on his salary, but accepting felt like crossing a boundary. He had spent his life believing in self-reliance, in making his own way. His thoughts were interrupted by a call from Lily's school. She had fallen during recess, and needed to be picked up. When he arrived, he found Olivia already there, having been listed as an emergency contact on the scholarship application. I hope you don't mind, she said anxiously. They couldn't reach you, and I was nearby at a meeting. Seeing Olivia Reed, powerful business executive sitting on a small plastic chair in an elementary school nurse's office, genuinely concerned about his daughter, shifted something fundamental in Ethan's perception. Thank you, he said simply. For being there for her. As they walked Lily to Olivia's car, the little girl limping slightly with her bandaged knee, Ethan made his decision. About the scholarship. If the offer still stands, I think Lily deserves the opportunity. Olivia smiled, a real smile that transformed her face. It does. And yes, she absolutely does. Over the next few months, something unexpected began to grow between the unlikely trio. What started as a simple scholarship evolved into regular check-ins, then weekend museum visits, then family dinners at Ethan and Lily's apartment. Olivia found herself drawn to their modest home, with its walls covered in Lily's artwork and photographs of happy moments. The contrast to her own sterile penthouse couldn't have been more stark. Here, in this small Queens apartment, she felt something she'd never experienced in the luxury high-rises and exclusive clubs of her usual world. She felt at home. For Lily, Olivia became a trusted friend, someone who listened to her stories and treated her thoughts with respect. For Ethan, Olivia was first a surprise, then a puzzle, and finally a revelation, a woman discovering her own voice behind the corporate mask she'd worn for so long. And for Olivia, Ethan and Lily were a glimpse into a life built on love rather than ambition, on meaning rather than status. They became her touchstone for what mattered beyond the glittering but empty world she'd always known. It wasn't all smooth sailing. James continued his whisper campaign, suggesting impropriety in Olivia's interest in a security guard and his daughter. Her father grew increasingly concerned about her distraction from work, though her actual performance had never been better. The upper echelons of Reed Enterprises watched with confusion and sometimes disdain as their Ice Queen VP began advocating for expanded family benefits and educational programs for employees' children. But for the first time in her life, Olivia didn't care about their approval. She had found something more valuable: her own moral compass. 6 months after the gala, Reed Tower's lobby buzzed with excitement. The company's new educational foundation was launching officially, with Lily as its poster child for success. The program, now named the Sarah Parker Memorial Scholarship in honor of Ethan's late wife, had expanded to support 50 children from backgrounds similar to Lily's. Olivia stood at the podium, looking different than she had at the gala months before. Her beauty remained, but the ice had melted. Her smile reached her eyes as she spoke about education as an equalizer and opportunity as a right rather than a privilege. In the audience, Maxwell Reed watched with a mixture of pride and bewilderment at his daughter's transformation. Beside him sat Ethan, no longer in a security uniform but wearing a simple suit. After discovering his business degree and his knack for connecting with the scholarship families, Olivia had offered him a position as community liaison for the foundation. It hadn't been an easy transition. Many in Reed Enterprises. Upper management viewed Ethan with suspicion, the security guard who'd somehow charmed his way into an executive position. James had spread rumors, suggesting impropriety. Maxwell had initially opposed the hire, seeing it as his daughter's rebellion rather than a sound business decision. But Ethan had proven himself through hard work, integrity, and innovative ideas for community engagement. His perspective as someone who had lived paycheck to paycheck brought authenticity to a program otherwise designed by people who had never experienced true financial hardship. Slowly, even the skeptics had to acknowledge the value he brought to the initiative. As Olivia concluded her speech, she gestured toward Lily, now 8 years old and wearing a new blue dress that bore a striking resemblance to the one she'd admired in the boutique window months ago. "I'd like to invite Lily Parker to say a few words about what this scholarship has meant to her," Olivia announced warmly. Lily approached the microphone with the confidence of a child who knows she is valued. "Before I met Miss Olivia, I didn't think rich people noticed kids like me," she began with disarming honesty that drew chuckles from the audience. "But she taught me that sometimes people just need to really see each other." Her simple words captured the essence of what had changed. Olivia had seen Ethan and Lily, truly seen them as people with dignity, dreams, and worth beyond their economic status. And in turn, they had seen her not as the ice heiress, but as a woman with her own wounds and capacity for compassion. After the ceremony, as guests mingled and congratulated Olivia on the foundation's launch, James approached, his charm firmly in place. "Impressive reinvention, Olivia. From ice queen to charitable savior. What's next? Running for office?" Before she could respond, Ethan joined them, protectively standing beside her. "Mr. Sullivan," he acknowledged with professional courtesy. "The foundation's work speaks for itself. We're proud of what's been accomplished." James studied them both, noticing the subtle shift in Olivia's expression when Ethan arrived, the softening around her eyes, the slight relaxation of her shoulders. "So it's we now, is it? Interesting." "Yes, it is," Olivia confirmed, making no attempt to hide her feelings. "The foundation is a collaborative effort. Something I couldn't have built alone." James's facade slipped for a moment, revealing genuine surprise. "You've changed, Olivia." "I've grown," she corrected him. "There's a difference." Later that evening, Maxwell Reed found his daughter and Ethan in the otherwise empty conference room, reviewing feedback from the event. He observed them for a moment, the easy rapport between them, the respect evident in their interactions. The way they seamlessly continued each other's thoughts. Maxwell had built his empire by reading people, and what he saw between these two was something genuine. Something rare in his world of calculated alliances and strategic partnerships. "The board is impressed," he announced, entering the room. "Skeptical, but impressed. The foundation has generated more positive press than our last 3 product launches combined." "Thank you, sir," Ethan said formally, still cautious around his boss. Maxwell studied him critically. "You were military before security, weren't you, Parker?" "Yes, sir, Army. 2 tours in Afghanistan. And a business degree from SUNY that you never mentioned on your security application." Ethan met his gaze steadily. "It didn't seem relevant for a security position, sir." Maxwell nodded thoughtfully. "My late wife Olivia's mother came from a background, not unlike yours. Worked her way through college, had big dreams. I sometimes forget that." He looked between them, seeing something that made him sigh. "She would have approved of the foundation. And of you, Parker." It was as close to acceptance as they were likely to get from him. After he left, Olivia and Ethan shared a look of surprised understanding. Her father had never spoken of her mother that way before, as someone with ambitions of her own, as someone who had once been like Ethan. It was a glimpse of a more human side to the titan who had shaped Olivia's life with such rigid expectations. That night, as Ethan read Lily her bedtime story in their new apartment, more spacious than their old one but still modest, Lily asked a question that caught him off guard. "Daddy, do you like Miss Olivia?" Like her?" Ethan hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I respect her very much." She's a good person who's done wonderful things for us. Lily gave him a look that suggested she found adults particularly dense sometimes. Mom would like her, she said with the certainty of a child. She always said you should be with someone who sees who you really are. Touched and a little stunned by his daughter's perception, Ethan gently tucked the blanket around her. When did you get so wise, little one? I've always been wise, Lily yawned. You just forget sometimes because I'm small. The next day, Ethan found Olivia in her office, reviewing applications for the next round of scholarships. She looked up when he entered, her smile immediate and genuine. In the months they had worked together, he had watched her transformation from the ice queen of Reed Enterprises to a woman with purpose and passion. The corporate armor had gradually fallen away, revealing someone both stronger and softer than the persona she had projected at that charity gala. I wanted to thank you, he said simply. Not just for the opportunity or the scholarship, but for seeing us. For really seeing us. Olivia rose from her desk, crossing to stand before him. You saw me too, she said softly. When I'd forgotten who I really was beneath all the armor. There in the quiet of her office, with the afternoon sun streaming through the windows, the walls between their worlds finally dissolved completely. Their journey from a desperate whisper at a charity gala to this moment of authentic connection had changed everything. Not because he had risen in status, or because she had performed charity, but because they had recognized each other's essential humanity in a world determined to sort people by their net worth rather than their true value. Lily says her mother would have liked you, Ethan said with a soft smile. She was always the best judge of character in our family. Olivia's eyes shone with unshed tears. I would have liked to know her. You do, Ethan replied. Through Lily. And through me. As spring turned to summer, the foundation flourished, expanding its reach to more families, more schools, more children with potential that might otherwise have gone unrecognized. What had begun as Olivia's impulsive defense of a security guard had evolved into a mission that gave her work meaning beyond profit margins and market share. And what had started as Ethan's grateful acceptance of an opportunity for his daughter had become a second chance at the career he had once dreamed of. Using his business acumen to help families like his own. The changes extended beyond the professional. Olivia found herself spending weekends at the park with Ethan and Lily, learning to play softball, eating ice cream on benches, laughing more than she had in years. Simple pleasures she had forgotten existed. Ethan found himself opening his heart again, learning that loving Sarah's memory and building a new life weren't mutually exclusive. And Lily thrived, surrounded by the love of her father and the presence of a woman who saw her value and championed her dreams. On a warm Saturday in August, almost a year after that fateful gala, they visited Sarah's grave together. Lily placed flowers while Ethan and Olivia stood back, giving her a moment with her mother. I talk to her sometimes, Ethan admitted quietly. Tell her about our life, about Lily's accomplishments. About you. What do you tell her about me? Olivia asked softly. That you helped us when we needed it. That you're kind to our daughter. That you changed everything by simply seeing us as people worth knowing. Olivia swallowed hard. I was the one who needed help, Ethan. I just didn't know it until I met you both. As they walked back to the car, Lily skipping ahead, Ethan reached for Olivia's hand. It was a simple gesture, but one that acknowledged what had been growing between them, a deep connection rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and genuine care. A connection that had overcome the barriers of class, wealth, and circumstance. That evening, at Ethan's apartment for their now traditional Saturday dinner, Lily presented Olivia with a drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a house, the sun smiling down on them. It's us, she explained. As a family. Olivia looked from the drawing to Ethan, a question in her eyes. He smiled, a hint of nervousness behind his usual steadiness. Lily and I have been talking, he said. About how much you mean to us. About how our lives are better with you in them. You've changed everything, Olivia whispered, her voice catching. Both of you. So have you, Ethan said simply. That night at the gala, when you asked me to pretend to be your husband. I never imagined that one day, I might want to be exactly that. Lily beamed at them both, the matchmaker's pride evident in her smile. In her child's wisdom, she had seen what they were only beginning to acknowledge, that sometimes the most unlikely encounters lead to the most perfect matches, that sometimes dignity matters more than wealth, that sometimes the heart recognizes its home long before the mind catches up. The following spring, they married in a simple ceremony in the community garden Ethan had helped create through the foundation. Lily stood proudly as flower girl, Maxwell Reed gave his daughter away with uncharacteristic emotion, and the foundation families they had helped came to celebrate. There were no society photographers, no strategic alliances being formed, no business advantages being secured, just a gathering of people who had chosen to see each other's true worth. In his toast, Maxwell surprised everyone by acknowledging how his daughter had changed him too. "Olivia has reminded me of something I forgot long ago," he said, his usual commanding voice softened with reflection. "That the true measure of success isn't what you accumulate, but who you become. And who you become depends greatly on who you choose to love." James Sullivan, watching from afar through social media posts, could never quite understand what had happened. How the Ice Queen of Manhattan had melted for a security guard. How the ruthless Reed empire had developed a heart. The story made no sense in his transactional worldview that Olivia had found happiness not by marrying another power player, but by choosing connection over status, purpose over appearance, love over advantage. 5 years later, the Sarah Parker Memorial Foundation had become one of the most respected educational initiatives in the country, with Ethan as its executive director and Olivia as chairwoman. They had expanded beyond scholarships to mentorship programs, family support services, and advocacy for educational equity. Their partnership, both personal and professional, had become a model for what was possible when privilege met purpose, when wealth was wielded with wisdom. Their family had grown too, with a 3-year-old son who had Ethan's steady gaze and Olivia's determined spirit. Lily, now a confident teenager, had blossomed into a natural leader with her father's compassion and her stepmother's conviction. The photograph of Sarah still held a place of honor in their home, her memory honored rather than erased, her legacy living on in the foundation that bore her name and in the daughter who carried her smile. On warm evenings, they still sat on the stoop of their brownstone in a neighborhood halfway between Manhattan and Queens, a compromise between their worlds that had become a home to them all. Neighbors greeted them by name, unimpressed by Olivia's business credentials but appreciative of her contributions to the local school. Ethan coached Little League on weekends, his military precision softened by fatherly patience. And Lily, doing homework at the kitchen table, often paused to watch her unlikely family with satisfaction, knowing that she had played her part in bringing them together. "Do you ever miss it?" Ethan asked Olivia one night, after the children were asleep. The penthouse, the galas, being the ice queen everyone feared. Olivia laughed softly. "Not for a second. I was never really living then, just performing a role someone else wrote for me." She leaned against his shoulder, content in the quiet of their home. "That night at the gala, when I asked you to pretend to be something you weren't, you refused. You showed me what it means to stand in your truth, even when it costs you. That changed everything for me." "And for me," Ethan admitted. "Seeing someone like you, someone with every advantage, choose to really see us, to stand up for us, it helped me believe in possibilities again." In the years that followed, their story became something of a legend at Reed Enterprises, how the VP who had everything found happiness with the security guard who had nothing but his integrity. How a desperate whisper at a charity gala had led to a transformation that rippled outward, changing not just 2 lives but hundreds through their foundation. Some dismissed it as a fairy tale, a fantasy of class barriers overcome. Others, who had witnessed their journey, knew better. The truth was both simpler and more profound than any legend. It wasn't about a wealthy woman saving a poor man, or a good man redeeming a cold woman. It was about 2 people who, in seeing each other clearly, found the courage to become their best selves. Who recognized that the walls between their worlds were more permeable than they appeared. That human connection could bridge any gap, that love was less about finding someone perfect, and more about seeing someone perfectly with all their strengths and flaws, their past and potential. In the end, what had begun with "pretend you're my husband" had become something far more meaningful, a life built not on pretense but on truth, not on performance but on presence, not on what others thought but on what they knew in their hearts to be real. A reminder that sometimes, the most powerful words aren't "I love you" or even "I see you," but simply "I'm not anyone's prop," the courage to stand in one's dignity, which creates the space for true connection to begin. As for Lily, now applying to colleges with dreams of becoming a teacher like the mother she barely remembered, she had learned the most important lesson of all. That family isn't always what you're born into, but what you build together. That love can heal the deepest wounds, bridge the widest divides, and create something beautiful from the most unlikely beginnings. That sometimes, the happiest endings start with the courage to be exactly who you are, even when the whole world is telling you to pretend to be someone else.